Available now on Blu-ray as a 2-disc Blu-ray, director's cut as it is, from Troma Entertainment is the film Mutant Blast. This is a pretty recent horror comedy from Portugal, and Lloyd Kaufman comes on at the beginning from the COVID bunker, so it was recorded, his intro was recorded a year or more ago, and basically says he thinks it's the finest film that Troma has ever produced. I actually, side note, was able to visit the Troma offices recently and talk to Lloyd's assistant, and he also said he thinks it's the best movie Troma has ever had anything to do with. And I don't know that Troma really had a heavy hand in this film so much as maybe helping fund it a little bit. And basically it is the story of, it is a future somewhere in Portugal, and this female soldier busts this Terminator-looking super soldier out of a bunker where everybody is turning into zombies. And they bust out, and this zombie plague spreads, and she meets up with a guy who woke up hungover one morning and then slowly remembers that zombies busted into his apartment and wiped everybody out the night before, and they sort of band together as this oddball buddy couple who try to get through the wasteland to get to a place where there aren't so many zombies, basically. So very, very gory film, lots of head crushing, lots of gooey head crushing, and people punching people's heads off, and goo and gore and grossness and gratuity. But I think it might be the finest film Troma has ever produced. It's really well done, clearly on a budget, but it's well made, and the performances are really quite good, and it's very funny. Now, as it goes on, it gets more Troma-esque. At some point, what's funny is apparently it was a failed super soldier experiment. So the people that escaped from this lab were failed versions of the super soldier, who the successful one was the one that busted out at the beginning, the Terminator guy I referred to. And the woman is saying to this goofy guy who's tagging along with her, they're not zombies. Don't call them zombies. And every time in the it's in Portuguese and subtitled, by the way. Every time she says or he says zombies, it's bleeped in the middle of that word, and the subtitles are censored. So it says like Z asterisk MBIES or something like that, which I thought was pretty funny. And they play that gag right to the end of the movie. And at one point, the government is like, how do we contain this problem? And they're like, let's just nuke that city. So they do, and it results in a rash of mutants. Thus the titular Mutant Blast. So the main guy, his hand turns into a rat, like a hand puppet rat. The main female soldier grows another ear. There are people, there's a lobster man. I mean, there's just, it becomes very ridiculous. And the more the movie goes on, the more Troma-esque it becomes. Now, I'm not generally a fan of the Troma style. It's usually just kind of too gross and juvenile for me. But and this film kind of ultimately winds up going there, but up to that point, it's really funny. And if you're somebody who enjoys, some good gore and some good so extremely violent, it's ridiculous. It's really well done. The effects are really well done. So I guess I liked Mutant Blast. Loaded with extras. It's 2-disc set. So I'm going to my eyes are going to go over here while I read you what the extras are in this. So you get a commentary by the director and the stars, which is actually, I checked, that is in English, so it's not a subtitled commentary. That's on the first disc, and you've got the Lloyd Kaufman intro. On the second disc, you get Making of the Lobster Man, you get Rat Pre-Production Test, you get trailers, you get a short called Mutant Blast Goes to Korea, Portugal Gets Hit with a Mutant Blast Special Effects, Mutant Blast Bloopers, Mutant Blast Bottle Cap Challenge. I didn't watch that to see what that was. And then Mutant Blast, or How Lloyd Kaufman Became a Portuguese Zombie, because he is noticeably in the film as a zombie at one point. So this was a lot of fun. I really actually kind of recommend Mutant Blast if you like really goofy, weird, gross horror-type comedies. But I will say this. The copy of Mutant Blast that I watched, the subtitles go out of sync as the movie is going. So somebody will talk, and then the subtitles will come up. It's not a huge thing, but this is a comedy. So somebody will say something, and then somebody will react to it, and then what they said comes up in subtitles. And as the movie goes on, they drift farther and farther out of sync to the point where it was 4 seconds out of sync. I kept counting toward the end, or from the middle to the end. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you know time, and if you count 4 seconds, that is a lot. So somebody will yell something that's supposed to be funny, and the scene will go on, and then that comes up, and it kind of ruins it. So I really enjoyed Mutant Blast. I hope all the copies don't have that defect. If you speak Portuguese, doesn't matter at all. If you watch this streaming somewhere, it might not be an issue. But on the Blu-ray that I had, that I was given, which was a retail copy, the subtitles on the main feature are out of sync. So you may want to check that if you get your copy. All in all, though, it's rare that I'll say this. I will recommend the new Troma Blu-ray of Mutant Blast.